Welcome back to People Analytics. I'm your host, Lindsay Patton. Today I have with me Lisa Whealon, who is VP of People and Culture at Deli Star. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you could be here. So let's have you tell everyone who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Awesome. So my name is Lisa, and I've been working in the HR, people, and culture space for the past 15, 16 years now, and just really enjoy all things people and culture and people experiences. Here at Deli Star, I'm the VP of People and Culture, and really focus my time on that employee experience component and looking for ways that we can continue to help create a culture of care for those that.
Now, one thing that I really found fascinating when we connected is you call Deli Star kind of like a 35-year-old startup. So can you explain the meaning behind that?
Yeah, so Deli Star is a family-owned business, second generation, and in 2021, the company had a plant fire that destroyed our production facility in
Wow.
Fayetteville, Illinois, and thankfully no one was injured, but the facility was a complete loss. And so the family at that point decided they wanted to rebuild. They were really passionate about the company and the people that worked here and the industry and space that they served, customers that they served, and so decided to set out on the mission to rebuild and to rescale a production facility. So had eyes set on St. Louis and found a great space and great partners to work with there, and built a new facility, really triple the size of the old. And so we've, for 34 years, operated in Fayetteville, Illinois. And then this year we are now in St. Louis, and our production facility is up and running. But with that comes, needing to scale up a production plant pretty quickly. So in the past 7 months, we've hired 100 employees. And
Wow.
have just really, all things that come with a scale-up startup mentality, right? So we're relearning some things, readjusting, kind of figuring out our new norm, and just kind of working through it, building the plane in the air as you go sometimes.
Yeah, someone on either Twitter or LinkedIn was talking about how, rock bottom can be opportunity. It doesn't necessarily have to mean like you are in the worst position. And it seems like everyone at Deli Star really saw that as an opportunity. So can you talk us through kind of the process of, obviously there's grief involved, but then how you set your sights on, moving locations and hiring. And yeah, I mean, you guys, it seems like you just came back really strong and saw it as an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, the leaders here, the family, the Siegel family that owns the business, talk about perseverance, talk about
Yeah.
leaders who are just, obviously, yes, there is a component of grief and sadness that goes into it, but just so focused on how can we build new? How can we start fresh? What can we do? This is an opportunity to really do something different and, kind of challenge ourselves, pivot a little. And so, really, I think their attitudes really was the key ingredient for our success, because I think many would have, maybe wallowed in that grief and seen that as an opportunity to slow down or perhaps stop. And
Yeah.
the team here did quite the opposite. They said, gosh, that was really sad, but what can we do to continue on? What can we do to make better? And I think it was really those goals and that sight on, a fresh start that really helped everyone stay energized and focused, through that period.
Yeah. So when you're rebuilding, was culture and, what your ideal culture wanted to be, was that part of the discussion?
It was a huge part of the discussion. So,
Yeah.
people first is really not just a tagline for us. It's really how we carry out day-to-day activities. It's how we think about new programs, new benefits, and it's how all of our leaders really lead. And so, when we thought about the culture and people, every decision that we would make when it came to the building, when it came to different line layouts, when it came to different things within the facility, it was really, how is this going to affect people? And what do we need to do from
Yeah.
a culture lens to really uplift and encourage are people who will be working in this facility. So every decision was really made with that intention.
Yeah. And you mentioned how starting fresh can really help you create more people centered programs. What opportunities did you see for yourself as a people person?
Yeah, so being able to start fresh and kind of reimagine what different offerings could look like for employees, it was really exciting. It was a challenge, right? Because we're
Mhm.
basically kind of trying to find a whole new employee candidate pool within St. Louis. Folks in St. Louis didn't necessarily know who we were, so there
Mhm.
was a component of really introducing ourselves in the community and working with different community partners to really ensure that the word was out about who we were and what we were doing in St. Louis, and that we were able to really position ourselves as a great employer, a great workplace. And so, from an HR lens, it was an exciting time because, we have this foundation, this really strong foundation and company, performance and history. And
Mhm.
now we get to kind of say, all right, so from a benefit and program perspective, what do people want to see in the market? And it
Yeah.
just kind of coincided with that great resignation time period. And so
Mhm.
a lot of people are really talking about and focused on how can we think about our benefits or think about different offerings in a new fresh way. So it was a really great time to learn, a really great time to just reimagine and have some fun. When you work in HR, sometimes we can get focused in on some of the reactive or issues, employee issues that come up or things that
Yeah.
happen. And so being able to play in a space of let's just kind of figure out something new and forge a better way was really exciting.
Yeah. So we think about benefits often as PTO, healthcare, but I know that you like to think of benefits in creative ways as well that add, that help with employee engagement, add to, the overall well being of the organization. Tell me how you like to think creatively.
Yeah. So the standard boilerplate benefits, I think, especially in the market today, everyone just, you kind of make an assumption that an employer is going to have those things. They're
Yeah.
they're going to have 401k, they're going to have health benefits. You just that's a given at this point. And so I like to think about benefits kind of from this wow perspective. So throughout my career, I've had the really fortunate opportunity to work alongside some really great leaders who were passionate about kind of creating these wow benefits as well. And so I really had a chance to help think about benefits from a different perspective.
Mhm.
So, when we're thinking about wow benefits, it's always what would be an offering that speaks to people and would really help us stand out in the marketplace. Help not only stand out in the marketplace so that we can continue to find great talent and continue to kind
Mhm.
of put our name ahead of others who are looking for great talent too, because everyone is looking for great people to join their teams. And when you're a small to medium sized business, especially when you're starting out in a new place, it's even more important that you stand out. So really, it was an opportunity from a marketing perspective, an employer branding perspective, to set ourselves apart from others. Did you hear
Mhm.
about that company that allows you to bring your baby to work? So that's something that stands out and gets noticed.
Yeah.
And then from the other lens of it, for our folks who are here, it really is an employee engagement and retention driver. So being able to offer employees a benefit offering that goes well and beyond just the basic benefits really helps employees feel connected and engaged, and really helps drive their loyalty within the business because they see that we're investing in them, and especially in today's world, that investing in people and that care for people is something that we hope every business does, but unfortunately,
Mhm.
it's few and far between sometimes. So for our employees internally to feel that was a really important driver and motivator for us as well.
Yeah. So let's talk about bring your baby to work.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Oh, it's one of my favorites. So like I said, I've been fortunate that I have worked some places where leaders were really in support of this initiative and some different WOW benefit offerings. And so a company I had worked for, I was the chief people officer there for about 10 years. And they had this program in place where new moms and new dads could bring their baby to work with them until the baby turned 6 months old, and it was such an amazing benefit. And so, a lot of times when I would talk about that, people would say, "Oh, so you had a daycare center on site?" No, no. We moms and dads would bring baby. Baby would be in a pack and play right next to their cubicle. Baby would hang out with them in their office. They would wear baby. So it was really the mom and dad's responsibility to take care of baby while the baby was at work. We figured out that 6 months was a perfect time. When babies hit 6 months of age, that's when they get a little bit more mobile, a bit more vocal. So it was a great opportunity to celebrate the baby's retirement at that point. So we threw the baby's retirement party, and we'd have a baby retirement cake, and we'd have a photographer come in that last week and capture some really cute photos of baby working with their parents,
Oh,
present mom and dad with those photos or that photo in a nice frame during the retirement
oh,
of baby. So it was just, not only just such a great benefit for parents returning to work.
mhm.
It's returning from work from any type of leave is challenging, but let alone right after you have a baby. And so we wanted to make sure that those parents felt supported, that they felt seen and valued, and that they knew that we cared about them and their life
Yeah,
outside of work. And it was a really great benefit because parents got to really be a part of the first year of a baby. They're changing so much, they're growing so fast.
yeah.
And I remember I brought all three of my girls with me to work,
Oh,
and I remember seeing them roll over for the first time and have some of these key milestones that I would have missed if they were in daycare or with
yeah,
a sitter somewhere. So I think parents just were so motivated and inspired by a company giving back in that way that we saw that from a productivity lens, we didn't lose any productivity.
wow,
People would be sure to make up the work in other ways and other times because they just valued having the baby there in such a
yeah.
strong way. And it was a great culture builder too internally. People loved having the babies there. Uh,
Oh,
if you were having a bad day or you got off a bad call and you just needed a baby snuggle, it was
yeah.
you had that opportunity, and customers really liked it. I would hear from people when I would talk about this benefit. Others outside the company would say, "Oh, that has to be so disruptive. Customers must really dislike that."
Yeah.
Customers thought it was amazing, and actually it was a great way to retain and build our customer base
Wow.
because customers would see that and say, "Wow, you must really care about people." And I used to have a customer that would call me once a week just to hear my baby coo and
Oh,
noises. And when she had her own retirement, that customer sent me this beautiful basket, and
oh,
just was
that's so
really,
sweet.
yeah, just really excited to have had a piece of that experience with me. And
Oh,
so I think people just really enjoyed that benefit. So that is one that we are replicating here at Deli Star. So we've just launched our Bring Your Baby to Work program, and uh,
amazing.
yeah, and it's just really neat to see, just to really experience that and to see your coworkers just really in that light. I think it's just a really sweet and wonderful benefit.
Yeah, and I mean, what a dream to retire at 6 months, right?
I'll be so lucky.
Yeah. So I want to, talk about this topic a little more because I think working parents and the challenges that they face is such an important topic. And I think that the pandemic really busted open, some of those challenges and made people kind of look face to face at, is this worth, um, my family time, or what am I prioritizing? So what kind of do you like to remove, challenges and barriers for parents do you like to remove in the workplace?
Yeah, I think you hit it, head on, that it has been a challenging time for working parents, but even more so after the pandemic. And what we've heard from our teams too, especially as we're seeing more millennials, more Gen Zers enter the workforce.
Mhm.
We're starting to hear things like, "Wow, I have this young family that I have to care for, and I have aging parents that I need to care for."
Wow, yeah.
So it's that sandwich generation where you're really caring on both sides, and so making sure that our benefits and our culture and our uh, just the programs and the experiences that we put in place really help uplift. So
Mhm.
for our Bring Your Baby to Work program, we know that there are roles within our business. We're a production facility, that it's not safe for baby to be on the
Yeah.
production floor. And so in that case, we offer a, weekly childcare reimbursement so that
Oh,
those
wow.
parents can feel supported in a different way, feel that that we still value and care for them and their family, and really help them in a different manner. For aging parents, I think that's a growing request that we're seeing internally from people is, how can we help support that? And so really looking for, different well-being tools, different applications for how we create some benefits that speak to all. And I always refer to, when we think about these wow benefits, not every single employee can participate in every single benefit.
Mm.
So it's really more of an a la carte menu, that our goal is to create a wow benefit that you can find a wow benefit that you can participate in, that is meaningful to you and that is really impactful
Yeah.
to your particular personal situation in your life.
Yeah, and what I really like is that you reference caregiving, giving, which can span aging parents. If someone has a chronic condition, I know that when I get my migraine attacks, my husband is great about making sure that I eat and the dogs are out. So, like the
Yeah.
fact that you included, caregivers in that big bubble is really awesome because I think a lot of people don't think about, like the effort, the emotional effort going on at home, whether it's parenting or just caregiving in general.
Yeah, and we have a flexible PTO program, and it's really with that in mind, that
Mhm.
everyone has a different home life situation, and to confine to kind of mash everyone together into one policy of how
Yeah.
you take your time. It just felt really just. It didn't feel unique. It didn't feel like it supported and uplifted our employees. So
Mhm.
having more of a flexible PTO program has been really beneficial, because if someone has to, they're, especially right now, oh my gosh, if you have kids right now, it's, we talked a little bit about this before the call, that just the weather and the changes and things that are
Yeah.
happening, kids are, there's so much sickness going around right now in
Yeah.
these fall and winter
Yeah.
months. And so rather than penalizing and having people afraid that they should have, that they can't take the time because their kiddos are sick
Mhm.
again, or now they've caught it, or they're caregiving for someone else and they're not doing well. Really trying to remove that barrier, that burden of, I have to come into work. I have to come into
Yeah.
work. So, I think that's a huge part of our culture, is how do we support the whole person? Work, Lisa, has other obligations outside of work. And so we don't want to
Yeah.
just focus in on, you know, here you are at work and here's what you have to get done. How can we support you in your life? Because if you're happy in
Yeah.
your life, if you are feeling more fulfilled and more supported and more seen and cared for, that's going to translate to your work performance, and that's going to translate to even time off, even sick days. You look at
Yeah.
stress, and people who are under so much stress, either at home or at work, and how that impacts everything around them, and how that impacts their interactions with others. It's a big indicator. So how can we remove some barriers? How can we help create as stress-free as of an environment as we can, so that you can show up here in your authentic self and feel really supported.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that because as someone with a chronic condition, the thing that I've learned is there's so much guilt and shame associated with being sick,
Yeah.
over something that someone can't control. You feel guilty for not being a team player. You feel, shame for not being there. But like that's, you should be supported is because when you feel good, you're doing good work.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, the other side of that too is, a lot of times with flexible PTO policies or unlimited PTO policies, the reverse effect happens. You have folks who
Mm,
are unsure of, well, how much time can I take? And I don't want
yeah,
people to think I'm taking too much time. And so they like stop taking vacations and they stop, or, I've had to miss because I was sick. So I can't take any time
yeah,
to do anything that is going to inspire, encourage, or kind of de-stress myself. And so we like to look at, we run reports to see, once a quarter, how many vacation days have people taken? And we
hmm,
see that there's patterns or trends in certain people not really using that time. Then
wow,
we reach
yeah,
out to say, hey, we want you to use this time. How can we better support you? Do you feel like you don't have the support on within your core group here at work to be able to step away? How can we get you that support? Do we need to have someone cross trained? Do we need to bring in some seasonal employees who might help lighten that load? So I think it's really important when you have these type of benefits that you're looking at the usage of them, because if folks aren't
yeah.
using the benefit, there's something wrong, and we want to learn more about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's dive into time off because you have a great story about a thing called Sandy vacations.
Yes, yes. So this is from a past experience as well, and we're really looking at, again, what are some wow creative benefits that we can offer. And being a small to medium sized company, sometimes we're not the big tech companies of the world, and so
Mm,
offering free lunches and all of these other things that tend to take up a lot of resources, it wasn't a possibility at the time.
yeah.
And so we were really thinking about how can we find a benefit, offer a benefit that is low cost to the company and that could really make a big impact on our employees.
Mhm,
And so it was with a meeting, our CFO at the time and I, were talking with some of our vendors and talking with our American Express rep at the time, and they mentioned our points. As we're
mhm.
making purchases, we're using our American Express, our Amex within our business to make purchases, and we're racking up these points. And so we had this epiphany of, what if we use those points to fund employee travel? It's not
Mhm.
costing us anything. We're getting these points
Yeah,
anyway. We have to make these purchases for our business. So why not use those points? Think about those points differently. So
yeah.
our CFO really was the force driving this program, and it was really great to see a CFO so passionate about how can we give back to our employees. And so from there, we birthed the Sandy Vacation Program, and it was a nod to the owner and founder. His name was Sandy, and so
Mhm.
it was such a wonderful program. Every quarter, we would raffle off, anywhere from 4 to 6 employee vacations.
Wow.
We had a big drum. Employees' names went into. I mean, it was a theatrical event.
That's
Uh,
so great. I love it.
it was. I mean, the energy in the air during
Aw.
those days, it was so contagious. Everyone was so excited, and because we had about 200 employees at the time, and our goal was that we wanted at some point for everyone to have won a trip. And
Mm,
so,
mhm.
once you won one, you were not back in the barrel. And so, in that first year, we'd raffled off 12% of our employee population had received trips, which was really
Wow.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had partnered with a travel agency. So, from a logistical end, it removed the burden from HR. There was no like, oh gosh, now we have to book employees' trips. So, once an employee's name was drawn and they won a trip, we would have lunch to celebrate. So we did spend money to have a lunch
Oh,
to say,
cool.
hey, we're so excited for you, and here's the logistics of that. We'd give them a packet with the travel agent's information. There was already some because they had a certain dollar amount to use with the
Mm,
points,
mhm.
and so we gave them that information, shared with them. Here's some prearranged packages, but you can really work with your travel agent and really decide whatever suits you best. Because again,
Wow.
no two people are alike in how they want to use that
Yeah.
time or spend that time. So we had some folks who had never taken a trip, they'd never traveled outside of the state
Aw.
before, and they were able to go places. My favorite story is we had an employee who had never left St. Louis, and they were getting married, and they won a trip, and they were able to to take their honeymoon, and they went to Italy. I mean, it was like wild. Like they were able to like go somewhere, somewhere
Oh, that's
really amazing.
amazing.
Yeah, and we had others who, weren't as comfortable, with plane travel maybe, and so they had some really fun times in Chicago and Nashville, and they were able to drive
Oh,
and really just have a great experience there. So it was such a fun benefit, and again, just thinking about it differently and trying to find creative ways to fund some benefits that help drive engagement and support the business.
yeah. And when you mentioned that sometimes it was some employees' first time out of the state, their first trip, like I think that travel, it's something that it can be expensive and not necessarily accessible to a lot of people. And I think everyone kind of deserves that experience to go to a different place, get to know different people, and have new experiences. And I really, really love that. That is such a wonderful program.
Yeah, I mean, you come back just so energized, and it was amazing too when folks would come back, uh, because you don't turn off your brain when you leave work or when you come into work.
Yeah.
I always hated the idea of work life balance. It's work life integration.
Yeah.
I'm a mom. When I come into work, I don't just say, "All right, I'm not thinking about my kids anymore. I'm just thinking about work." And the same goes when I get home. I'm not just, turning
Yeah.
my head off, and I'm not thinking about work there either. So when folks would come back from trips, being in some of these great places, having that time to really disconnect and step away, they'd come back and say, I was really thinking about this business issue we have, and I think I have a solution. So
Awesome.
kind of pulling them out of their day to day, sitting at your computer and kind of having those day to day experiences, really being in a different place and having different experiences really helps inspire creativity. So it was really neat to
Yeah.
see those employees who would come back and have thought up a new way of doing something, or had thought of a way to solve a problem that we had.
Yeah, and something else I know that you do at Deli Star is you offer sabbaticals. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so the sabbaticals here, it's such an amazing benefit and perk, and it was really kind of with that idea of creativity in mind as well. So once an employee has been here for 7 years, they're eligible for a 6 week sabbatical, and what they do during that time is really up to them. They can, volunteer. They can do some type of passion project. They can travel, whatever. It's their time to use. We are paying them completely during their time away, and it's really an opportunity for them to take those 6 weeks and really inspire creativity and just really focus on something that is meaningful to them. So we had our first employee take a sabbatical, and this year, and it was really exciting. This benefit specifically just rolled out in 2021, right before the fire, like
Mm,
the week before the
yeah.
fire. This benefit rolled out, and so we've been in this hyper rebuild scale up mode, and so now that things are a little bit more settled, we were able to have an employee take it, and it was so neat just to hear what they did during that time and the travel that they participated in, and just being able to do things around the house, and just how appreciative they were when they came back, and they were able to talk about what they experienced and what they did. And what I loved about it was a leader. And so it really helps the organization see, especially frontline employees, that, well,
Yeah.
if my leader is going to take it, then it's okay for me to take it. Because I think
Right.
sometimes you have these benefits and employees are scared to participate because, well, maybe it's looked down upon if I take too much time off, or if I were to take this sabbatical. No, we're
Yeah.
encouraging it. Our leaders are doing it. Our CEO is going to take a sabbatical. I mean, it's just such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Lisa, this has been such a great conversation with so many creative ideas, and I hope that our audience is inspired and maybe someone implements bring your baby to work. That's my hope. But before we depart, do you have anything that you would like to add, or think that we missed during the conversation?
No, I think for for some folks, the idea of creating some of these new creative benefits, it can feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
Gosh, I have so much to do, especially if you're in a small to medium sized company and maybe you have small resources or not a lot of hands to help. Start where you can start. Not
Yeah.
everything has to happen all at the same time. So think of those little intentional ways that you can show employees that you care outside of your standard benefit offerings, and just build upon them from there.
That's amazing. So if anyone in our audience wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do so?
Absolutely. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Lisa Whealon on LinkedIn. You can absolutely email me, lwhealon@delistarinc.com. Those would be the best places. And I'm so passionate about all of this and helping other companies find ways to care for their employees. So I'm always willing to share and give some insight there.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lisa. And if you or anyone you know is like Lisa who wants to create a more human experience in the workplace, email me, lindsay@staffgeek.com. Thank you for listening to Staff Geek's People Analytics Podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Patton, and I'm always looking to interview leaders who put people first. If you or someone you know lead with a people-first mindset, please email me at lindsay@staffgeek.com. That's LINDSAY@staffgeek.com. If you want to take things a step deeper and understand your organization's true culture DNA, I encourage you to take Staff Geek's free culture assessment. Just head to staffgeek.com and click the button that says Free Culture Assessment. Thanks again for listening.